Welcome to Force for Growth Live. I'm Ricardo.
I'm Courtney, and thank you for joining us. Before we begin, reminder, check us out on Facebook and Instagram and make sure to follow us at Force for Growth and share, like it. And then it's Wednesday, so you know what to do. Hashtag hump over your hurdle. It's the time of the week to get your biggest thing out of the way so you can get energy for the rest of the week and just charge after everything. So get it done.
Hashtag hump over your hurdle.
Yes. What's going on today, Ricardo?
Let me tell you, the other day, Sebastian asked me, "Were you ready to be a parent?" And I was like, wow, what a deep philosophical question. And so here's the thing, I was actually prepared. I started a new journal for 2021. Typically, I've been keeping journals since I was 16. And typically, I'll write everything in a journal and then maybe even stop and then start back again. But I've always kept some kind of journal, even if it was just a notebook, right? Just a spiral notebook. And I still have some like in my drawers from like 1996. This is how long ago those I've kept. I've been able to keep those, but I've been doing it for longer. And for 2021, I decided to start a new journal where it's things that I remember about my life. It's some of the stuff that happening. I'm journaling stuff in real time, but I'm also journaling about memories and lessons that I've had in my life from my past. So this is meant for Sebastian to keep, for him to read so he can learn a little bit more about me if I don't ever get a chance to tell him all these stories. And the very first thing on the very first entry was I ready to be a parent? This was before he asked me.
Wow.
Before he asked me. So I sat him down and I said, "Look, this book is for you." I was like, this is a big journal, a big, thick journal, and leather bound, by the way. Really nice, really high quality, good journal. Get you a good journal if you don't have one, by the way.
Yeah.
So I sat him down and I said, "Look, this book is for you. I'm writing stories about my life." And then he says, "So I can give them to my kids and read them to my kids?" I'm like, "Yes, actually, yes, that is why. That's exactly what this is for." And so I sat him and I said, "Look, right here, the very first thing that I wrote like earlier this week. What does it say?" He says, "Was I ready to be a parent?" And I was like, "Okay, let's read it together." So I read it to him and we had this moment, right? And and that's what made me think, are you ever really ready? And here's what the journal entry said. I'm going to summarize it for you.
Okay.
I wasn't ready to be a parent. I wasn't ready to be a parent when when we decided to have a baby. However, I was ready for the challenge. I was ready to give it a try. I was ready to go for it. And then I also mentioned that I don't think you're ever really ready, quote unquote, to be a parent. You're never really ready. You just have to be in a position where you're ready and comfortable trying and putting forth that effort. So the question is, are you ever really ready? Are you ever really ready, Courtney?
I don't think we are. I think we need to back up and I guess we should pull the definition on the word ready. But basically, what is ready mean to you? Because that's kind of where I noticed it was just maybe I didn't have the most healthy perspective on the term ready, but you throw in, are you ready to be a parent? And that question, that's a whole category on its own. But it sums up a lot, because looking back, and I'm saying this as somebody who has not had children yet, but I've been a nanny. I have dozens of animals. Not really, it feels like that. But like s- at the end of the day, I know the second I become a mother, I can't prep myself for that, right? It's going to be a natural process, and worries and things like that are going to kick in along with instincts. But looking back, I know children are is something a lot of people wait for, and they wait for when they're ready. And the advice a lot of people will get, I was brought into this earth with the same advice, is stop planning on it, just let it happen. And if you get pregnant, you get pregnant, you'll find a way to make more money. You'll find a way to get by. And I remember my mom telling me that. So I'll just tie that into
You'll
you
figure it out. That's
yeah,
the thing.
and then as a non-parent yet, that is Sebastian your greatest teacher of your entire life? Like, can you already tell that was he more of a teacher for you or vice versa? Because I always think the children really came to teach the parents. That's
He's
really it.
more of a teacher for me. I've mentioned that before. Like, things that he says, the things that he sets up for me, the conversations that we have, and he's only 6, they're phenomenal. Nothing short of phenomenal. And he understood. Like, when I said, "Look, I wasn't ready," and I told him, and he's like, "So you mean that I don't have to be ready to try something new?" I'm like, "No, you don't have to be ready to try something new. You just have to be ready to try. You just
Mhm.
have to be ready to try."
Yeah.
That's it. Because most of the time, like, even if we had these grand plans about being ready to be parents, where we took all the classes, which we did, had everything planned out, which we did
And did
we
it go as planned?
No! No, it didn't. So it doesn't really matter, does it?
No.
So it
Yeah.
really doesn't matter, but we were ready to go for it. We were ready to try. However, the classes brought certainty and made us feel a little bit more better. The getting prepared brought us certainty and made us feel a little bit more better. So it wasn't a total waste of time. However, it really didn't do anything for us after he came home.
Yeah.
Like nothing, right?
Oh,
Because like when you're actually in the moment, it's like, what? You're not thinking about the parenting class that you took 6 months before he got here.
yeah.
You're not thinking about that. You're thinking about, man, this kid's crying in my ear and I want to go to bed.
Yeah.
So it happens in a totally different way, but that's how life is, though, right?
Yeah.
That's how life is.
And I think there's okay, so question to the audience. What is something in your area, your life that you are waiting for something to happen so you can do step 2, which is act on it, and just is that a situation where you ever will be ready or will you just move the needle and make up another excuse as to why you're not ready yet, So we go through this. I mean, we all have reasons. We have legit reasons to prepare. We have legit reasons to plan and think ahead. Absolutely. But we can't put so much paralyzing effort there like we do. And it's just fear is paralyzing. So if you're focusing on the I can't because I'm not ready, most of those reasons are going to be driven from fear and out of fear and come from deep just negative physiological states. I don't know. I don't but sorry if that didn't make sense, but basically you're coming from a lower area when you're waiting on something outside of yourself to happen. Whereas, even if you know nothing, even if you are so unprepared by definition, but you have an idea and you're in peak state and you're inspired, you will find a way. A way will find its way to you. So just don't forget you're playing around with energy and the state you're in right now, and that, oh, no, no, we can't have kids yet. We are not ready with it. Breathe. Your heart knows. So I'm not saying go out there and everybody, kiddos for everyone, but anyway, funny in the comments. Lavie Jackson's definitely voting for a second Leon baby. But
No,
um
we are
no,
not ready for that challenge.
that
Great
is a
point.
good
Great
distinction.
point, by the way. That great point. That's where we have to make that distinction, right? And pivot this conversation in that direction.
Yes.
I can
Good job.
actually
Mhm.
admit and say out loud, and so can Jesse, that we're not ready to accept the challenge of having another kiddo. We're not ready for that. And more importantly, we're not interested in that. We're just not
Great
interested,
awareness.
right? And that's
Mhm.
okay. That's okay. But one of the factors that came into play is we have one kid. So therefore, we can kind of gauge and say, are we really ready to do that again?
Yeah.
Are we really ready to do that again? Are we really ready to give it another try?
It's a big question. I mean, it's
And
these
the
type
answer is
things.
no. The
Yeah.
answer is no. In my case, when it comes to kids, the
Very
answer is no.
I love that.
right? But you have
Well,
to explore and you have to get into that situation so you know if you're ready to do it again.
Jesse said, "No, it's count time for y'all's alone time as soon as he leaves."
It is. It's now
Um,
we're ready for him to leave the house and start his own life, right?
mhm,
That's the thing. We're ready for him to leave the house and start his own life. So that's what we're ready for, and that's what we're preparing for.
yeah,
And we also are going into that part of our lives knowing that it might not work out exactly like we plan. And that's okay too.
yeah.
That's okay too.
He's got me
What have you
laughing
been
over
putting
here.
off, Courtney? Tell me, Courtney, what have
So,
you been
okay,
putting off
so yeah,
that you think you're not ready for?
okay, I don't know how to really answer that question in the last week or so because I think I've literally flipped everything upside down and just to go, just with okay, so let me come up with an answer. I just am
Breathe,
ready to go.
breathe. It's okay.
I'm ready to just go. I'm ready to not have moments of hesitation where I'm like, wait, should I do this? Should I, and that's a muscle I'm strengthening right now is that quick discernment and quick. I don't want to let the excuses win. I don't want to let the old loop win. It's just new habits mean breaking old loops, right? So it's just a lot of that going on right now. So I'd say I mean, I'm up early, I'm up late right now working on just turning so much around. So I actually feel really good for where I'm at, but I do want to point out you need okay. So what if you got what you wanted, but you couldn't say yes because you weren't ready?
Mm,
It's a big question I've thought on a lot lately, especially over the last year, in that, we think, okay, I mean, if you look at somebody who lives paycheck to paycheck, they aren't able to save for, say, a vacation they want because paycheck to paycheck is just getting by. You have more month at the end of your money. Is that how they say? So that's one example. But there are areas that, and I can't tell you what this is for you because it's your life. So this could be spiritual, this could be money, this could be career, this could be so much. But you need to understand what being ready is for you. For me, I want to be 5 steps ahead. I want to be a week ahead. I want to be breaking records and be just a few steps ahead because that gives me the ability, and when something happens, to pivot, but to still, you know, not adjust my numbers for the month or not impact my relationship because I wasn't there at all. So it's just, Eric Thomas talks a lot about you got to be 120% in every area of your life. And so I just want to push that one step further. You need to be 5 steps ahead of yourself, whatever that means.
question.
Okay.
Does the thought of being 5 steps ready, um, worry you? Does it stress you out?
Mhm. Okay, full transparency, part of my brain right now as I say that and as I'm talking about this on live TV, part of me is like, "But you don't even trust yourself, Courtney." But it's this little baby loop of old limiting beliefs centered around trusting myself to take the next step, And how did I get that trust to take the next step? I took next steps and took more next steps. And where did I develop the worry that I might not from many years of being paralyzed by fear?
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's right now. I mean, I feel like
Right
it's
now's the moment, Courtney. That's the thing.
mhm.
Because if you keep allowing that fear to win, you're conditioning yourself to allow that fear to win. If you're allowing that hesitation to win, you're conditioning yourself to allowing that hesitation to win. So
Jesse,
Jesse says, why do you feel the need to have to be 5 steps ahead?
great
Right.
question. Okay, so let's say your job. Okay, let's take COVID. Things are going to happen that will knock you off course. It's not like, hey, maybe one day this one thing will happen. No, it's guaranteed something big or small. Hopefully they're all on the small end. They're, daily, like, oh, dealt with that quick. But some things are going to come and knock your business off balance. Some things are going to knock your relationship off balance, your mental health, like politics and things. Like, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, we're all going through abnormal things that we've never really dealt with at this level. So that's where I say you need to stay ahead because you staying ahead is an extra tool in your toolbox. If somebody offers you something, you have more wiggle room to say yes. You have more
Flexibility
Freedom.
to say yes. You
You
have more
plan
flexibility
your
to say
freedom.
yes,
Yes, thank you.
right?
Freedom and flexibility.
Yes.
That's what it means to me, at least.
But if that thought of being 5 steps ahead is stressing you out, what's the issue there? Versus just saying, "Okay, I'm gonna work hard to get ahead." But then it's like, "No, I gotta get 5 steps ahead, and that's when I'm going to feel good, and that's when I'm going to feel successful."
I had to define it. Like, I can't be like,
Or the
"Oh, I need to get ahead." I could be one task ahead. I'm talking I wanna be a week, a month ahead.
correct.
And that's not gonna happen overnight, and it's not gonna be fun, rainbows, and easy, but I'm telling you, next time somebody offers me a week-long seminar I've wanted to manifest for a while, I'm not gonna say no. I'm gonna
But
be able
here's
to
the
say yes.
thing. Here's the thing. Here's a distinction that I want you to understand, and I want everyone who's listening to understand is it stressing you out or is it firing you up?
Firing me up.
Okay, see, that's a different thing. That's a different thing. That's a different thing because earlier you said it was stressing you out.
Okay, yeah, thank you for breaking that down.
So is it stressing you out or is it firing you up? Is it
It's a
getting you
healthy form
excited?
of stress.
Okay,
This is the acute stress, not the chronic, causing myself issues stress, but to me, it fires me up because it gets me many steps closer to what I want. Now, okay, so so if it did stress me out at times, it did. Like thinking about anything in the future panicked me. Panicked. I mean, it's crazy. My heart's racing because it's just my physiology remembers. But that's where you want to go inward. Be present. Be in the moment. Whatever you need to do to sit there. I mean, love on your animals. Sit there and list everything around you, just in the room you're at that you're grateful for. Infuse gratitude. Infuse. So you need to. If it's the heavy, heavy high stress, it's not healthy. Or if you don't resonate with getting ahead at all, that's okay. Like,
it is okay.
be where you are and do whatever you need to do to fall in love with where you're standing right now.
Correct. Are you in love where you're standing right now?
Great question.
I'm asking you.
Oh, me? Yes, yes. Okay, so I think I'm like 1 or 2 notches off where I will be, like, overjoyed, like, "Okay, this is set up how I want it to," but I'm real close. I'm real close and
That's
feel
good. That's good.
grateful,
That's
yeah.
good. Let's see here. Levi says, if you are trying to plan for every variable, then you are relying on yourself.
Mhm. That's a lot of pressure.
You are. It is. It is. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure to plan for every variable.
Yeah.
You can plan for most. You can plan for a couple of things, but to think that you are capable of planning for every single variable and be that calculating, that's a whole different thing. That's a
Being
whole different
prepared is,
conversation.
it's kinda goes along with how do most things typically go that you've rehearsed in your brain? They typically go how you've rehearsed them, you know?
Typically,
And so that's the same thing
sometimes they
with
don't
being
go at
prepared.
all.
Exactly, exactly. So there are exceptions to this rule. But basically, if you have rehearsed something in your head over and over and over, or you've practiced a sport over and over, you've look at the Kobe's, the Michael Jordans, that, they have built that. But it's just there's so much
Here,
freedom in, like, thinking through kind of like, okay, like, you enter a room, am I safe? If not, where would my exits be? Where would this? Like, it's a split second process to just run through, like, a preparedness thought. And so that's what I do whenever I'm overly stressed or overly this, just like, okay, well, if that did happen, what would I do? If that did happen, what would I do? If that did happen, what would I do? Okay, got my endpoint, got my exit strategy done. Now I can focus on all the good. You know,
here's the
I don't
thing.
need
You
to
meant
dwell.
hold on. But let's back up a little bit
Okay.
before we lose this thought. You mentioned Kobe and Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
They were notoriously famous for practicing the basics. 3,000 free throw shots, 3,000 close up shots, 3,000 this every week. Even though they were the best at what they did, they still relied on those basics. You have to
And
remember that Bruce Lee said, and I quote, "I'm not scared about the guy who knows 1,000 moves. I'm scared of the guy who practiced one move 1,000 times."
And the Kobe quote where he's talking about a kid that some high school basketball player runs up to Kobe and is like, "I'm gonna be just like you one day. I'm gonna be just like you. You just wait and see." And he turns and said something along the lines of like, "No, son, you can't be because I'm already decades ahead of you." He was referring to his extra practices that he fit in every day. That's
Correct.
personally why I call my morning time Kobe time because it, inspires me. But you, what is being so prepared you can't fail? Like, it's not even a possibility. What does that mean for you? And I want
But
you to just journal on that and just spend 5 minutes sitting with that.
you have the basics to fall back on. That's the big thing. You have the basics to fall back on. You can fall back on that one thing that you've practiced 1,000, 10,000 times, and that you know that the percentages and the odds are in your favor because of how much work you've put in. And that
Mhm.
actually opens you up to have magic. How many magic moments did Michael Jordan and Kobe create in their career?
Yeah.
But it was because they spent so much time practicing the basics.
Yeah.
Wow.
Their body just knew, I mean, body, heart, and soul knew the moves.
Yeah.
Just drilled. So we all have
So,
that ability.
final thought, Courtney, are you ever really ready?
No, but keep going. Do as much as you can, but don't ever let wait and get ready hold you back. Stop it. If it's holding you back, you're trapped. You're in the trap. You're not this round of the game, you're not quite getting it yet.
Correct. And for me, I have to say, no, you're not ever really ready, but you have to work towards getting in a position where you're comfortable and confident that you're able to step up and go for it. You just have to be ready to go for it. Not ready for the situation, not ready for the entire thing. Just be ready to go for it.
Mhm.
Wow.
You're much more prepared than you think and capable.
Great episode, Courtney.
Yeah.
Great episode, Courtney. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back on Wednesday.
No, on
Right.
Friday.
Oh, Friday. It is
Yes,
Wednesday.
it
We'll
is
be back
Wednesday.
on Friday. I've lost my week. Yes, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back on Friday.
Yes.
Remember to like and share. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Force for Growth.
Yes. Thank you,
Have a great
guys.
day, everybody. Bye.